So training wise, this prep has been, it's had its ups and downs. I don't know, it's not a good plan, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna bench the way I bench and hope I get enough white lights to make a lift. That sounds like so awful, but kind of it is what it is, and we'll see in Richmond. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is now February 5th, 6th. It is February already. And this year has just been just a crazy whirlwind already. Last time I talked to you guys, I was telling you that I was doing meet day media for powerlifting meet in Edmonton, the Grit Power Open. And it was a lot more work than I had anticipated. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to get to photograph the meet and to learn from it, because as much as I prepared for it in advance, or at least as much as I thought I'd prepared for it, I was not prepared. The day was just way longer than I had obviously ever shot before, I'd ever done an event before. I was feeling all kinds of pressure. As I told you, I wanted to give the lifters the very best meet photos they'd ever seen, ever. So I set the bar very high for myself. And it was just a lot of excitement and a lot of pressure on my part. And I was working with a second shooter, and it was just a lot. And then I got home, and the photos I took, plus the photos that the second shooter took, there were over 14,000 photos to go through and cull and then figure out who's who and put everybody into, you know, their respective albums and then edit all the photos. And it all turned out really well, I think. I think everyone is happy with their photos, and I definitely took some that I'm very proud of. But holy moly, it was just more than I had bargained for. But I do hope I get the opportunity to do it again, because I've learned a lot about how to improve moving forward, and I know I can do a better job next time and subsequent times. So hopefully I'll get that opportunity again, and hopefully next time I'll be a little bit better prepared for it. So then after the meet, I actually ended up getting sick. So I just got a cold of some kind. Like, I took COVID tests. They were negative. I have had my flu shot, but you know, I think with all the high stress and, you know, the night after the meet and then the following night, I was just up all night. I just couldn't sleep. I was too excited. You know, like, I got home from the meet and I knew I had 14,000 photos to to work through, and you know, I couldn't sleep knowing that I had to do that. So I got up, spent a couple hours doing that, and then the next night it was like, you know, you just can't sleep. I was just too excited, and I had a lot of work to do, right? So that leads to not a lot of sleep. So yeah, anyway, I was sick. I was sick when we left for Las Vegas. We were in Las Vegas from Wednesday until Monday, so 5 days. And the first day was rough. When we landed was rough. But the day after we arrived, we went to the Valley of Fire State Park, and that was beautiful. That was something that I had hoped to see a few years ago, but there was sort of like a comedy of errors that happened that prevented us from going. We'd rented a car, and for whatever reason, like, this has never happened to us since or before, you know, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't happen again. But we had our passports with us. Jason and I both had our passports. But somehow I had my credit card and he had his driver's license, but he didn't have his credit card and I didn't have my driver's license. So we were not able to rent a car because the driver's license has to match the credit card and everything. So that fell apart. In hindsight, that was probably a blessing in disguise, because I think that was like in August and it would have been insanely hot at that time. So it all worked out, and oh, it was just like highly recommend. It was not very far of a drive from Vegas. It was like 45 minutes, like an hour. And we got there just after sunrise, and it was like we had the whole park to ourselves. And I'm always amazed at seeing natural like rock formations and stuff, and just, you know, you drive out of Las Vegas and there's, you know, little mountains everywhere, and then it's just like everything starts to turn orange and red, and like is like a whole other world. And then just being there on our own, like without any other cars or people around, was like that was magical. So definitely highly recommend. And I'm so glad that we were both feeling better when we did that. But we were still kind of worn down for like the next several days, and we didn't actually get a workout in until Sunday. And we went to Dragon's Lair. So Dragon's Lair was super cool. I'd heard a lot about it. It's owned by Flex Lewis, who's the 212 Olympia winner. Gosh, I don't know, like 7 times, like many times. And he opened up a bodybuilding gym, and it's like the mecca. Like during Olympia weekend last year, it was like, I heard people were standing in line at like 8 a.m. when it opened, like in line around the block, and they were at capacity and couldn't let more people in. So luckily, when we went, it was pretty quiet. There were like 3 other people there. So we got to have our workout and, you know, like peace and quiet. I'm not a fan of crowds, especially at a gym when, you know, you want to train what you want to train. You want to train on the equipment you want to train on. So it was super nice. It was really peaceful. Everyone was really friendly, actually. And they had a combo rack and metal plates. And there's a sign on them saying powerlifters only, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I was not 100% yet, but it still felt good to finally be back in the gym. I hadn't trained since before the powerlifting meet, since before Grip Power. So it'd been like a week and a half of like touching any weight at all. So that was super fun. And I wish we'd had more time there just to, you know, train there again or train at some of the other gyms in Vegas, because Vegas has a lot of cool spots. So yeah, so that was Las Vegas. And then we got back and it was just like slammed with work, with photos, with school stuff. The semester actually started the week that we were in Las Vegas. But for both Jason and me, our courses were sort of slow to start, but then it was like, at least for me, it was just like, bam, like, like, holy moly, I'm a little overwhelmed. But things have sort of steadied now. I've kind of found a good groove and things are going okay. So I finally feel like I'm in a decent headspace where I can vlog again and talk to you all. I missed you. I really enjoy vlogging and video editing, and it feels good to be back. So anyway, since it is now early February, we are a mere like week and a half away from CPU Nationals in Vancouver or in Richmond. So training wise, this prep has been, it's had its ups and downs. So like I said, I was sick for a while, and of course that just put a halt on training for some time. Luckily, by the time I got back from Las Vegas, I was feeling good enough again that I could train normally. But that was like mid-January. And that is when the bench rules, the new bench rules, had a chance to be implemented in a few different meets and a few different countries. So it seems that the rules are being implemented slightly differently in different places, with some places being a little bit more lenient and more according to how it actually was written, and other places being like super strict and giving like red lights for depth on depth that I would think would be well below the requirement. So that was a little bit unsettling. And by a little bit, I mean I was starting to panic and have quite a bit of anxiety and worry about how my own bench would fare at nationals, just because there was so much uncertainty and it was so unclear. As I mentioned in my other video, I can link it up top somewhere. So the rules were written pretty vaguely, and the photos they included weren't super clear either necessarily. And there was a lot of room for interpretation. So the IPF actually put out a reel recently, it was like mid-January, maybe late January, sort of clarifying what they meant. Because something like the shoulder joint, while it sounds simple enough to be like, oh, it has to go below the midpoint of your shoulder joint. Well, when you're lying on a bench, it can look a little bit different, just because if you're trying to get up on your traps, your shoulder is basically on the bench. So are we going from the bench, or like, it just wasn't super clear. And then it was being interpreted differently. So the IPF put out this reel that I think explains things a little bit more clearly. I'm still not super confident in my own bench that it is okay, but I did work on getting deeper in my bench press in classic bench and unequipped bench. And I think hopefully I should be okay. The plan is to open quite light just to make sure that I get that depth. And once that's out of the way, once I at least have one lift on the board, I can make jumps from there. But if I get red lights on my first lift, on a light lift, then I can still adjust and I'm not hooped. It'll be a weight that's light enough that I can essentially do like totally flat backed. Hopefully, that's the plan at least. So yeah, and then equipped bench, just the way that the shirt fits, like it has a very narrow chest plate. It sort of pulls your shoulders forward anyway, and it doesn't allow you to arch as much. So just by design, I know I bench a little bit deeper equipped, and I think a lot of people do. But then I film myself equipped from the front, or from like where the front judge would be, and I think I'm okay. I'm not entirely super confident, which is worrying, because like equipped bench, like it's so hard already. Like you're thinking about so many things already that like the last thing you want to think about is elbow depth relative to your shoulders. So I don't know, it's not a good plan, but I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna bench the way I bench and hope I get enough white lights to make a lift. That sounds like so awful, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like it's too late to make a big change to my equipped bench. Like it's so technical already, and you know, not knowing how it's going to be judged, I might be totally fine. I hope I'm totally fine, but like there's just, everyone's uncertain at this point, so kind of it is what it is, and we'll see in Richmond. So training in general, so I've been trying to adapt to the new bench rules as much as I can, just trying to increase my elbow depth, like to bench a little deeper. And I've been trying a few different things out. I've been trying to bench in flats, and that seems to give a teeny tiny bit of extra depth. I actually really enjoy benching in flats, but at my very first provincials in like 2016, I guess that would be, I was benching in flats and I almost bombed in bench because I was wearing Sabo deadlift shoes and they're very form-fitting around your foot. And like your foot is curved on the edges, your foot has curves in it, and I was not getting the start command because I was told my feet were not flat. Like my heels were flat on the ground, but because of the curve of the shoe, I wasn't getting the start command, which was like, I'm still a little bit traumatized by that, to be honest. And I saw actually at a provincials later in like 2018, 2019, that was the same thing was happening. People were not getting the start command because of the curve of their shoe. So that's why I always bench in heels. And then I kind of got used to it. So I might try benching in flats again at the competition, and hopefully that won't be an issue at least. So yeah, anyway, strength-wise though, it's been okay. Of course, changing my technique is going to take some getting used to. And of course, the shoulder injuries. My shoulders are feeling okay. They have like, I don't want to say good days and bad days, but sometimes I feel them a little bit. And the unrack is still sort of bothersome. But in general, they're feeling okay. But of course, that takes time to recover from too. It's not just like, you know, you heal your shoulder, you go to physio a couple times, and then you're back to the strength you were at before. So I'm not quite there yet, but I think I'm okay and I'm on the right path. Equipped bench has been going really well lately. I hit 128.5 in training a couple weeks ago, and that's the most I benched since provincials last year, since July. So I'm not quite back at like a 300-pound bench. I haven't really pushed it too hard. I haven't been in the shirt overly long either. So I'm pretty happy with how equipped bench is going. I'm competing unopposed at nationals. There's no one else in my age and weight class at nationals for equipped bench. There are 2 other people for unequipped bench competing with me, but nobody for equipped bench. So all I have to do is make 1 lift, and then I win gold. And then I should qualify for Worlds. So Worlds is the goal. Like Worlds has always been the goal. You know, nationals is really, I just want to get through it, you know, check that box, stamp my ticket to South Africa, and then the focus will be 100% on South Africa, because that's the one I really want. So I might still try for a teeny tiny little national record at nationals in equip bench, but we'll see. We'll see how the day goes. We'll see how the depth calls are. We'll see. Anyway, one last update to give you guys weight-wise. So as I mentioned in my last video, I am doing a weight cut leading into nationals, and then hopefully I'll maintain around 58, maybe 58.5 kilos leading into Worlds. Getting sick and, you know, traveling to Vegas was maybe not the best thing for a diet, but last week my average was about 58.5 kilos. And while I was sort of hoping to get around 58 before nationals, just to make the water cut, you know, super easy, 58.5 is definitely doable. And I might be a little bit lighter after this week. I should be. I will continue my my diet, so I should be well on track to make weight easily at nationals. So that's a relief, because my weight cut in Lithuania was pretty harsh. It was pretty severe, and yeah, doing that twice in the span of like 3 days, I would not like to do that. So I'd like to avoid that if at all possible. So yeah, that's where we're at with that. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for following my journey. My next video, I might do a video on my water cut before nationals or at nationals, and then after nationals, assuming I successfully qualify for Sun City, I will be back with a series about the road to Worlds. I think there are 12 or 13 weeks between nationals and Worlds, so I get like a full meet prep. So I'll probably go back to doing weekly updates, let you know how training's going, diet's going. As I mentioned last time, I've got a whole bunch of travel planned, so I will take you on the road with me also. And yeah, that's all I have to update you on. All right, thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. Please leave a comment if you have something nice to say. And I will see you all next time. Bye.